initial and free lesson of my marketing attribution course. Today we're gonna talk about again traffic sources in BigQuery. When I tell you BigQuery, I of course mean GA4 to BigQuery schema. Okay, so today's agenda again. We begin from the basic definition of traffic source. What is it? How does it work? And stuff like that. After that, there are some tiny details about GA4 specific for traffic sources, traffic source definition, traffic source type, and stuff like that. After that, I'll tell you about uh, traffic source fields in GA4 to BigQuery schema. There are some caveats, and it's not so plain as you can imagine. And after that, a few tiny tweaks about attribution models with different traffic fields in BigQuery, and of course, some sort of practicing on live project, on live coding in BigQuery. And after that, I can answer some of your questions and send you video recording and code and all documentation. And if you need or want, you can join my marketing attribution course. So begin. First, let me introduce myself as usual. My name is Alex. I am marketing analytics expert. I write a lot about GA4, BigQuery, MarTech, and marketing attribution on some raw data with some SQL magic in GA4 and BigQuery. So I really like it. I really love it, and it is something that I'm obsessed with. And if you have some questions about it, if you want to chat about marketing analytics, just send me a message, and you're gonna make a call. And yeah, I think that's the point. I really like it. I really love it. I have I think 10 or maybe 15 or 20-year experience. That's not a big deal. And the stuff I do is usually located in a range of education, consulting, developing, making some comprehensive marketing analytics system on the raw data, basically, GA4, and so on. Follow me on my LinkedIn page, my blog, on my Substack, Twitter, whatever you have, whatever you can. So tonight or today, it depends on the location, we are discussing about marketing attribution in BigQuery. And you can see this is the agenda of my marketing attribution course. It consists of 6 or in the future 7 lessons, quick, short lessons with a lot of like practicing, a lot of documentation, code, and stuff like that. We are discussing a lot of stuff about attribution models, about how to set up attribution models in BigQuery and Python and BigQuery, GA4 and BigQuery. And if you have some basic knowledge about SQL, I think you can get a lot of power from this course, from this lesson. And now in December of 2024, you can join, you can get a special discount for this. If you want, you can get access to this course only for $249. Drop me a message or email me on my email address or direct message on LinkedIn. Yeah. And again, I have really, really warm feedback from initial users, and I hope you really like it. Great. Come on. What is the traffic source? It is the first question I want to reveal. A basic question. I think everybody should know something about that. So what is it? It's really straightforward, really simple and plain. Traffic source is the place, or channel, or medium. You can say, you name it, from which users come to a website or application. Yeah, it's just like the way users usually come to your website, to application, and after that they can make some conversions. Yeah, you can see this picture, and as far as you can see, there are a few types of traffic sources. It's just basis, but no worse. Yeah. Uh, there are a few traffic source field types. You can, I think you should know, like medium. It is a broader category, like email, organic, CPC, CPM, for instance. It is a source. Source is basically is like the main category in the traffic source paradigm, and it usually relates to some website or application or uh, like some source. Yeah, it's just a yeah. Website. I think it is a better definition, and the campaign it is a specific direction of your marketing. Like for instance, you can acquire leads using some specific tools like search marketing, paid search marketing, social media, something like that. And using UTM parameters in UTM campaign, you just make your definition of your traffic sources more specific. Yeah. And that's really interesting topic, how you can define traffic source. I think you should remember this picture. It is from Universal Analytics era, uh, epoch. Yeah, it is really old-fashioned picture, and it's just the schema how Universal Analytics define traffic source. There are some rules, yeah, some base rules, prerequisites. For instance, whether your user or your session have gclead parameter or campaign source, the UTM source, something like that. You can watch it, you can find it in some legacy and deprecated pages for Universal Analytics. And you should know that basically this logic like doesn't change in some base definition, some advanced definition. I don't know. There are some tiny details which are different, but that's not a big deal. Yeah. And it's really interesting because I think we have like maybe 10 or 15 years from the first initial publication of this picture. But it's not so actually, yeah, and the rules are quite a bit different, but the same. Firstly, GA4, some Google application, or some different web analytics tool. Look at URL parameters for defining traffic source. URL parameters, I mean UDM, gclead, and some specific get parameters, URL parameters. And it is the first and main rule if you want to define or want to rewrite or override traffic source, you should always use some UTM parameters. There are some like tiny details about session timeout and stuff like that because Universal Analytics making a session like or making a click with the UTM parameters usually create a new session and GA4 no. But whatever. If you wanna make some tiny magic with your traffic source in GA4 in BigQuery, for that you need to redefine your URL parameters, your UTM. And after that, GA4 basically watch a document.refer value. And in the most cases, it's just a domain or the website from user just comes to your website or to your application. There are some tiny details, but basically there it is, document refer. So firstly, UTM, secondly, document refer. And after that, some attribution-based dimensions. For instance, after that rules, GA4 or big GA4, okay, watch out some logic like lookback window or attribution logic rules which were predefined. For instance, data-driven on last click, or Google paid last click, something like that. And that's it basically. So, there are some if else, but basically, you should know that firstly, we're going to look at the UTM, secondly, document refer, and after that, we are going in some attribution based logic and attribution based dimension. But GA4 has like its own specific for traffic sources, and it's not so like plain, it's not so straightforward as it was in universal analytics, not so pretty, but let's show it up. Firstly, GA4 has some sort of scopes. Universal analytics had scopes, and GA4 has scopes, and it relates a lot to the definition of traffic sources. The first scope is user, is everything which relates to user, not customer, but user. Yeah. The second scope is session, you should know it, and the last one is event, or the first one, because GA4 is event based, as far as you know. Yeah. And in according to these scopes, there are few traffic sources, types. The first one is first user source. It is a source which means initial traffic source of initial user acquisition. It's like the source of the first session for particular user. The second one is session source. This is something similar to universal analytics logic. It's just the source of particular session. Yeah? And the last one is just source. It's really, really interesting because it looks like GA4 team couldn't invent like some nice definition and named it just source. And just source or attribution source is a source of specific event or specific conversion. Yeah. Okay. And here we can see first user source parameters in GA4 interface. GA4 has a wide range of traffic source dimensions. And again, it just means the way you initially attract or acquire your users, like first user medium, for instance, or first user source. It's the same way about session source, yeah, session campaign ID, and it is some data, some dimensions about particular sessions. And this is a part of sources, just a source of in array of attribution for particular event or particular conversion. Okay. Wait a minute. Yep. Any questions? Okay, we can continue. Great. And you can see this picture and the scopes and how they're connected to the logic of traffic source. As far as you can see, user is just like first user source is just a traffic source like which answers the question like who acquired these particular users, and again for the session, and again for some key event, not conversion but key event, and that's it. Yeah. Wait a second, I see some questions. Not just do. What a difference between default channel group and primary group? Really interesting question. Just give me some minute and I'm gonna reveal it quite a bit later. Alexandra. Okay, for GA4, it at the first glance, it looks good, but it's quite a bit messy. What do I mean? You can see a panel of like some reports from GA4, and you can see user acquisition, traffic acquisition reports, and it makes a lot of mess because from the first view, it's really like it's really difficult to realize what's the point and what's the difference between user acquisition report and traffic acquisition report, and the difference in the type of dimension. Because in user acquisition, you're operating like with a first user source, and the traffic acquisition with session source, and that's the point. That's the difference. And sometimes it looks like it doesn't make sense because from my point of view, there is now such a value, I don't know, which can help me in solving some really important business tasks, for instance. And again, here you can see some conversion rates in logs, GA4, and you can see there is session key event rate or first time purchases rate or user key event rate. And like for not so advanced user, it's really complicated because instead of getting some straightforward answer, you can rethink, okay, what traffic source I need, what conversion rate metric I need to use. And it makes a lot of mess in GA4. But the good news is you have a BigQuery. BigQuery is cloud database, and it makes the whole process of analysis of GA4 data really comprehensive because it consists of like bunch of events, bunch of hits, and you can make any logic you need or should use for instance, your attribution for your product analytics and stuff like that. But bad news, traffic sources, BigQuery require some expertise, and unfortunately, it is also not so straightforward as we hope to do, as we hope to have. Yeah, another good news and is you have a Christmas sale for marketing attribution in BigQuery. And again, if you're really interested, if you wanna make your expertise broader, uh, just send me a message and I'll give you an access to all videos and all documentation. Okay, so traffic sources in BigQuery, traffic source field in BigQuery. There are three types of traffic source in BigQuery. And the main goal of it is to make the whole process of traffic analyzing simpler and, I don't know, quicker, richer maybe. Okay, so the first one is traffic source field. The next one is collected traffic source. And the last one is session traffic source last click. The type of these records are record type. These fields are record type. Yeah, it's something similar to array, but not array. I'm gonna reveal it later. Okay, so what is the traffic source? Traffic source is just a record type which has a like few only three options: name, which is really weird, like name, medium, source, only three options, and it is an analog of first user source from GA4 interface, like closer analog, not the same, but again, it's like something similar. Yeah, it is an initial source of the source of initial user acquisition. The next one is collected traffic source, and it's really interesting and it's really tricky. Collected traffic source is a traffic source that was collected with the first event on the page. And it is something that relates to a specific event or specific conversion. Like, yeah, and that's not a like session key event or session track. Sorry. That's not a like session or first user traffic source, and it relates to a specific event, a specific key event. Not so pretty slide, but here you can see a few types of collected traffic source: source, manual, medium, manual content. And the point is, it's just a source fields for a particular event of particular conversion. And the closer analog of collected traffic source in GA4 is source, just source or attribution source. But there are some tiny differences because source or attribution source in GA4 is closely relates to attribution settings in GA4. And you can say nothing about the same, collected traffic source in BigQuery, because it just reflects the specific attribution of specific events in this specific page, this specific session. And the last but not least is the new field, session traffic source last click. It is not, this screenshot is not correct. I can show you in BigQuery interface. Yeah, that's it. And this new field, it reflects just last click session traffic logic from GA4. You should know that session attribution and user attribution in GA4 is based on last click paid and organic last click logic, and it doesn't depend on attribution settings in GA4. Yeah. And the session traffic source last click is just a reflection of last click logic in GA4. And you can see a lot of options like Google Ads campaign with some sort of Google traffic sources, Google Ads here, and manual campaign. And it is something that you can use for calculation of your last click attribution, for instance. Okay. And closer analog of session traffic source last click is session source in GA4-BigQuery. And okay, so let's discuss something about attribution models with different traffic sources fields. I'm gonna tell you about like closer amount in the most reasonable approach, I guess. Traffic source fields, it's something like a first click attribution in BigQuery. Aggregating your metrics like sessions or users, maybe events by traffic source fields, you are calculating something like a first click attribution because a traffic source is reflecting, again, the initial source or the source of initial user acquisition. But the point is, it depends on like look back window. And for this particular option, there is no such a thing as a look back window. Yeah. And if you need, for instance, to calculate first click attribution with 7-day look back window, you need to make it additional with collected traffic source and with some logic that I describe in Marketing Attribution Course. Collected traffic source, it is something that you can use for event-based attribution because it reflects the traffic source from particular page, particular session. Yeah, and session traffic source, you can guess that this is just a replication of session-based last click attribution. And if you need to calculate or combine some session-based and last click attribution, you can use it. That's it. But there are some caveats that you should know. Firstly, in the form of BigQuery, you should use session traffic source last click for initial attribution overview. For instance, you can compare your metrics, your like sessions or some different metrics with GA4 interface. And by this way, you can get like a helicopter view about some popular traffic sources or popular traffic sources with conversions, for instance. But that's not something really reasonable, something really good for custom attribution model. And for any custom attribution model, you should use collect traffic source, or maybe there are some caveats with event params. It is a field that you can parse for calculation your attribution. And the last rule, just don't use traffic source, because from my point of view, it doesn't make any sense. I don't know. Uh, the one way you can use it is just a calculation or making the first link attribution, but you can use it with, you can make it more efficiently with the collected traffic source. And traffic source has only three fields as far as you can remember. Yeah, only name, medium, a source. And it's really weird because what if I need to make attribution with the keyword or I don't know, creative, for instance, or campaign ID or something like that. So I think this field, I mean, traffic source is quite a bit old fashioned, and I think you shouldn't use it. Basically, you don't need it. You don't need to use it in the form of GA4 or BigQuery attribution. Okay, I think that's it. That's all about like basics of GA4 to BigQuery data in form of traffic sources. And now we can go to practice. But before that, let me check some questions. What the difference between event param source and collect traffic source? Adam, thank you very much. Basically, there is no any difference based on Google Analytics documentation. But parsing event params is more expensive in form of query than working with collected traffic source. So that is why working with collected traffic sources is like the better option from my point of view than working with event params. But sometimes there are some mistakes, like some bugs with collected traffic source definition, and sometimes you need like manually parse event params, for instance, for identifying traffic with gclead and organic as a medium. Yeah, it is a famous GA4 to BigQuery bug. But basically, collected traffic source is better than parsing event params. Uh, by the way, yeah. Uh, Alexandra, what is the difference between default channel group and primary group? So default channel grouping is an option, not option, but like, mm, I don't know, the set of rules, yeah, in GA4 for distributing some sessions, some values, some different metrics between channels based on some like regular on-based logic. And I don't remember what has been primary group. Maybe some folks can remind Alexandra or me, but if you drop me a message after this workshop, I think we can discuss it privately. And it just means that this doesn't relate to our topic in terms of BigQuery traffic sources, but just drop me a message. We're gonna discuss it. Okay, so okay, so let's make some practice. Okay, we begin from my GA4 to BigQuery data, my GA4 to BigQuery uh, GA4 to BigQuery schema. Yeah, and we begin from calculations, something like let's say user or session attribution based on specific traffic source dimensions. Let's begin from uh, traffic source. Yeah, traffic source field. As far as you can see or remember, it's just the definition of first or initial user acquisition. Okay. So it's really straightforward. By this function, we just calculate the total amount of user with aggregation by initial traffic source of their acquisition. Yeah. That's it. And that's the way how we calculate attribution, user attribution, I guess, based on the first traffic source. But it just means, and you should know that it is a source of initial user acquisition. And for instance, on December the 18th, they can visit our website from like, I don't know, maybe paid search, but initial traffic source was Yandex, and it was, for instance, a week before or maybe a month before. Yeah, but really plain and really straightforward logic. Okay, so let's try calculate something with the session source from session traffic source last click. Let's copy. Mm-hmm. Okay, and now let's calculate uh, the total amount of sessions with session traffic source last click source. And here we need to use event params and event params parsing. We need to extract GA session ID from 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 our event params. Yeah, and we need to do it. Let me check. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what is it? We just make a calculation of unique session IDs. And each session ID consists of user pseudo ID with concatenation with JS session ID, which parse from event params. Uh, that's it with grouping by session traffic source. Yep. And we can compare it with, for instance, reports from GA4. Let's go to traffic acquisition. Let's pick session source. Okay, Yandex 35, 11, 41, and BigQuery the same. Great. And it just means that session last traffic source last click is just replication of last click attribution logic from GA4. That's it. Yeah. And let's make another caveat with calculation your attribution with collected traffic source, which I can say the most precise type of making attribution, making custom attribution in GA4 to BigQuery data. It's just a prerequisite of my query, and now I just describe it to you. So firstly, we make something like a session table here. In the first query, we define the session ID, which again consists of user pseudo ID and GA4 session ID from event params. Yeah, and they are distinct. And here we are getting collected traffic source using window function. And by using window function, we are extracting collected traffic source from window by session ID, which is the first one within specific session. Which still, BigQuery, give me collected traffic source from the first initial hit of each session. And from my point of view, it should be something like a collected traffic source of the beginning of the session. Okay? Again, we're getting collected traffic source with first value by window function by session ID in a particular order by event timestamp, and we're getting first value. Nothing crucial, but if you have some questions, just drop me a message. And here we are calculating conversions again with window function within a specific session. It just means that we are getting the sum of the total amount of conversion, like in my case, conversion name is form sent, and we just calculate how many conversion each session has. Let's make it. Okay, and here we can see the raw session table with session ID source and the total amount of conversion. Okay, let's run the whole query. In the whole query, we are extracting source from session table, calculate sum of conversions, and grouping it by source. Okay, and that's it. We have 5 conversions from direct, like on not set traffic source, on 2 conversions from linkedin.com. That's it. Unfortunately, there are some more deep rooted logic about how to make attribution with some SQL magic. But if you want to delve deeper, if you want to know more, just drop me a message or join the Marketing Attribution Course. And that's it. I'll send you a video and I'll give you all the queries from this lesson. And you can join next lesson of this Marketing Attribution Course because it is like introduction lesson. Yeah. And that's it basically. Maybe you have some question, we can discuss it right now. Okay. Hey guys, again, thank you. Thank you, Alexander. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your patience. See you guys. I'll send you all the information, no worries. And let's keep chatting. Let's keep talking. Let's make an attribution together. See ya.